Mercedes finished the first half of the season really strong, winning 3 out of the last 4 races and having a driver sit on the podium in each of them. But with the driver lineup for next season slowly getting sorted, there is still one big question: who will fill that Mercedes seat that Hamilton is leaving to go to Ferrari? And it looks like the news that we've all been waiting for, that Andrea Kimi Antonelli has finally signed his deal to sit alongside George Russell next season. So let's talk about it. Now, reports are coming in that Antonelli has signed a 2-season contract plus 1 if Mercedes want to continue him with a team option, and there will be a symbolic handover ceremony is expected between Lewis Hamilton and Antonelli. Now, this is a massive deal. 17-year-olds don't usually get a lot of opportunities in F1. We've seen how hard it is for a lot of successful drivers to even get a good spot, and Antonelli will be going into a team that are definitely going to at least be in the top 4 or top 3 next year, competing for what you would say is podiums and maybe even better. It also raises a lot of other questions. They were happy to give him a 3-year deal, but were only giving Hamilton 1-year deals or 2-year deals for the last 3 or 4 years. And this was one of the major reasons why Hamilton decided to leave the team, not only because their performances haven't been as good in the last few years, but also he wanted job security and the guarantee he's not going to get thrown out in the deep end. And I think you have to look at what Mercedes are doing, and obviously I get that he is 17, he has a lot more longevity in the sport, so you can expect a lot of good performances, but Hamilton was an expected performer for them. He was guaranteed to be good, and you know he was going to get the best out of the car, being obviously a 7-time world champion. And there's been a lot of questions: is Antonelli actually the right guy for this job? Now, I don't think there was that many people they could have got in. Obviously you could have looked at Carlos Sainz before he went to Williams, but is he really going to learn and get better under Mercedes? I think he wouldn't have been a second driver, and he definitely would have competed, which I don't think they necessarily want right now. I also think obviously you can look at people like Perez, who I think has fell off a bit, so I don't think they would go for someone like him, or even someone like Verstappen with all the news that Red Bull is going on. However, I think the money that it would require to get Verstappen there, and he would need guarantees that the car is going to be better than Red Bull's, or at least competing at the same level in the next few years, which I'm not sure Mercedes can necessarily do, especially because it seems like they are going to really try for the new regulations in 2026 and not really take next year as important as that one. I also think Mercedes kind of wanted to go for a young driver. Obviously you can say it's a bit like the Max Verstappen model, coming in at a very young teenage age and being able to be so good, but I think they want someone long term to build it and build the team off. They have to think about the future. Hamilton's not going to be around forever, and he is getting into his late 30s. At any point he could just stop being a driver for them, even before this Ferrari deal happened, and they wanted to be prepared to have someone in that car who can be ready and at least can develop into a driver. And that's the thing with Mercedes: if they're not really going to push next year and they are going to push for the year after, it gives them a year where they can sort of see what they want to do and develop some drivers. Obviously I think Russell is very good, but he needs to develop a little bit. Sometimes he can be a little bit aggressive, bit out of pocket, and make some poor decisions, but I think he has overall got better. And having him alongside someone he can also mentor, someone like Antonelli who's so young, he will grow next year where the pressure isn't really on him too much, and we can see what he can do in a very good car that can at least compete. And Antonelli is not a bad driver. This guy has done really well in every single series that he's ever drove in. He's been a mainstay at many teams. I mean, Prema Racing have had him for years now. He's been driving for them for different series and has won so many races under them. And there is arguments that he isn't having that incredible F2 season that you see some drivers have, and that is definitely fair. Obviously F2 sprint race and the match race that they have is very different. A lot of weird things happen. You don't really get consistent winners, especially with the cars all being equal. And he is currently 7th. He has won 2 races which are a little bit more recent, and he isn't necessarily setting the world alight down there, but obviously there's been a lot of arguments that Ollie Behrman isn't setting the world alight. He's been pretty poor for most of the year, and because of a brilliant cameo for Ferrari in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, he seems to be getting that Haas spot next year. And sometimes this is the bad and the good about F1. People necessarily aren't as excited as other people. People like Liam Lawson definitely deserve a seat but hasn't been able to get one, and obviously many people have won F2 driver championship as well. But Antonelli is the Mercedes guy down there. Mercedes have definitely been going on about how much they like him for years. Toto Wolff has been a massive fan of him. He supported his karting career and has been very vocal about him, and a lot of drivers have also given him a lot of recommendations. George Russell, Max Verstappen have said they liked him, and it just seemed like one of them moves that was inevitably going to happen. No matter how good he was, it seemed like they liked him a lot when he was young, and they've been impressed by him a lot. And overall overall, if that's the case, then I think it's valid to give this guy a chance, especially if he's not going to have too much pressure on him next year. Let me know in the comments what you think about Antonelli getting this seat, because it seems like it's going to happen now, and do you think he should be the one that gets the seat over anyone else, or is there another driver that you would want to have it instead? Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.